What is going on, Sam? Beautiful day out here in New York City. I imagine it's similar in DC. You said you wanted to go for a run?
It's quite lovely. It's beautiful out. I'm going to go on a run later. Second workout of the day. Grind doesn't stop. I'm training for nothing. I'm training for success. I'm just trying to be like you, Parker. You inspire me.
I mean, you can join the marathon train one day. I know you say you don't, but I got my boxing in last week.
Did
I was
you?
in Oklahoma. I did a rumble class. I've never done one of those. Pretty interesting. I let it out on that bag, I will say.
Well, I'm proud of you. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah. I was learning all the different types of punches, and it's challenging when you add like the combos, like left, right, boom, up, down, side.
Yeah. Try doing it on a person.
Got to get into a rhythm. Yeah, well, they're trying to
punch
kick your
back.
ass too.
Exactly.
That's
awesome.
Sounds fun. I'm sure it's exhilarating. All right, well, let's hop into the topic of today. And this one is one that we feel all the time, and we've talked about before on the pod, but not in this way. The topic of no one knows what they're doing. And maybe that's a pretty good thing. So I always feel this all the time. I always get lost in the headspace of like, oh my God, I'm looking around. Everyone seems so legit. But yet I take it back to like a framing part of my mind where I'm like, no one really knows what the future is going to hold because no one's ever been there. So how could anyone know really what they're doing?
Scary. So are you saying that it is a good thing? Is that your side of the debate?
I think so. I would say it's a good thing because it helps me in my perspective when I don't know something or I feel lost or I don't feel like where I'm going somewhere that like it's okay. It's normal to not know what you're doing because most people feel that way and have had to some of the biggest people in the world who've built like massive companies, got into the top in sports or whatever you name it. Did they really know that what they were doing? Because they didn't know what the future was going to hold.
Okay, I'll take the other side of that debate. I think it's a bad thing when people don't know what they're doing. And sure, it makes us feel better. I agree. It's nice when other people are feeling lost like you. But as Parker, we've worked our way up our own organization, as we've worked our way around the entrepreneurship circuit, as we've met incredibly successful content creators and podcasters, sometimes it's nice to have someone that's above you, that knows what they're doing, that you feel safe and secure working for or being led by or looking up as a North Star. And I think with so much uncertainty in the world, it's nice to have someone that seems so confident that you can kind of trust them blindly and follow what they have to say. It makes me feel better in the direction that we're headed. And so, funny enough, think about ourselves. Sometimes you and I are feeling so lost and so confused with Elevation Nation, with our personal lives. And the first thing we do is we call on a mentor that we think has something figured out or can provide a different perspective. So yeah, I don't know. I see the opposite as being more of a benefit. I need that confidence of someone else to make me feel like I have somewhere to head.
We grew up like our whole life thinking that our parents had it figured out or our teachers or the older people had it figured out. Now in this case, it might be a mentor or a boss. But I know you felt this way too, that like you felt lost as you've gone around your journey in building something new, something big. I imagine that the people who you go to, who you think have it figured out, like still are trying to figure it out too. Because like I said, they're using their experience to help you move forward in a problem. But that's just experience. That's the past. They've never lived in the present or the future. And so that's where I'm coming at, is that since no one has ever lived in the present or in the future, then how can they perfectly know and have it all figured out?
I think as a control freak type A kind of guy, I like to lean on research, preparation, other people to guide me. But I'll bring to life a real world example that I talked with a dear friend of ours on Sunday, Noah Schiff. And in talking to Noah, I said, hey man, how's it being a dad? And he said, no amount of, books that you've read can actually prepare you for what it's like. You just got to go and live it and do it and enjoy it and figure it out. And I think we oftentimes are so scared of that next step, whether that's a step up, whether that's a step sideways, even backwards, just a new step. And we try to prepare as best as we can. But at some point, you're going to have to do it and live it and try it and figure it out. And so that, I think, is a really interesting piece of guidance that I got from Noah, is that sometimes the way you learn most quickly and feel like you can figure things out is when you actually go do it.
It's a great point. You got to go do it. I mean, we're about to welcome the 200th elevator to Elevation Nation. That's so crazy. Like next week, Elevator 200 is joining the nation. And all of the conversations that we've had with every single elevator, 90% of them are entrepreneurs. And you know very well, I know very well, entrepreneurship, there is no roadmap. There is no book. You could pick up every business book in the entire world, similar to like Schiff, pick up every fatherhood book in the book. But to your point, experience is the best teacher. And so I would love for us to talk a little bit about how we felt like we had no clue where we were at, but yet we kept pushing because we knew something better would happen. We'd move the needle a little further down the road if we just kept trying, even though we necessarily, even today, still really don't know what we're doing. We have a guide. We have what we say, the compass.
We have a compass
that's grounding us. We have an idea of where we want to go, but we don't know what's actually going to take us there.
It's interesting. I think not knowing is both our biggest blessing and our biggest curse. I think it frustrates me the most, not knowing exactly where we're headed with this business, but it also is the biggest blessing. It allows us to pivot and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. And to your point, Parker, we've kind of just been chipping away slowly but surely. Stay consistent, see what happens. And we've had incredible things happen to us this year. We are going to be speaking more than ever before in this upcoming year, already scheduled, and we're only in March, and this year's already getting booked out. And we have some new exciting things that we're trying in Elevation Nation and beyond. And so I think it's both a blessing and a curse for us of not knowing where we're going. Gives us the ability to pivot quickly and try new things and fail very fast. But as you know, because you deal with it firsthand, I think you or I call each other once a week stressed about where we're going with the business and trying to figure out what our next idea is. And so it's both a good thing and a bad thing, not knowing.
With that, though, obviously there's no book that you could pick up. You know, we could write a lot about our experiences, Sam, and share those, but does it make sense for others? We don't know. But I got 3 insights for Elevation Nation that will help them thrive if they can't find that playbook that works for them. Something that Sam and I have done very, very much so in the last 5 years building Elevation Nation. And one being take action regardless of what you think is going to come against you when you do that action. Sam is a perfectionist in some way. I'm a perfectionist some way, but we both know if we're trying to build the most perfect thing, that's killing our progress. When we're trying to build, it's almost like we can't spend so much time making things perfect because we kind of just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and learning and learning and learning. Well, that goes to my next point, learn by doing. The best way to learn beyond a book is you got to go do. Got to go experience, got to go ask people, tell people, show people, interact with people, and see if the thing you're building works. And if it is, learn. If it isn't, learn. It's both a good thing. And then the last piece is make the bets, make the small bets. Put a little, chips in the middle and say, hey, you know what? We're going to go a little hard on this specific thing and try to see if it works. And if it works, great. We'll continue to stack. We talk about that stacking method all the time, Sam. And if not, you lose that small bet. But guess what? You learned again, and now you can make a more, focused bet in the future. And so I love this conversation. I love this new outline of how we're structuring this. A little debate, a little experience, as well as some practical takeaways for Elevation Nation. And now we get to spotlight an elevator who lives by the idea that maybe they didn't have it all figured out, but they continue to push. And they ended up succeeding that way. Anyone come to mind for you, Sam?
I got one. Do you have one?
Let's hear it. I want to hear yours.
Elevator shout out of someone that is continuing to push, maybe doesn't always know exactly where their business is headed, but that's okay. They're just pushing and continuing and trying more and more things every single time. Matt Skolnick, elevator number 146. Matt, co-founder of Pepper, an incredible app that helps people track their cooking, learn new recipes, and just be immersed in the culinary world, something I absolutely love. They're continuing to iterate on their app, find new ways to monetize, find new investors, new social media. I saw Matt taping his iPhone to the top of the ceiling the other day, trying to make some content from an aerial view. My man is trying everything out there, and that's the life of an entrepreneur. And so I give him a ton of credit. He and his co-founder, incredible young men, trying to make the world a better and more delicious place. And they might not always know where they're going, just like Parker and I don't either, but they continue to try, and that's okay. Matt, we love you, brother. Congrats on all the success and all the success to come. Thanks for inspiring us.
I think Elevation Nation can learn so much from a Matt Skolnick and what they're building at Pepper. And, you know, he's a guy who was in the same world as us. He worked at another Big Four company, had an idea, didn't see himself continuing to want to rise the ranks in corporate America, and he made that idea happen during the midst of COVID. And now he's continued to fail forward, learn from his failures, and continue to push and push and push. And now he's elevating, so much so that he was just, and his co-founder, named to Forbes 30 under 30. And so if you want to hear Matt's story, we have a podcast with him. Just look it up. Matt Skolnick of Pepper, Elevation Nation. It's a great episode. We highly encourage you all to listen, and it'll teach you a little bit about, not about how you don't have to know everything to continue to elevate. And so, Elevation Nation, we hope you enjoy your Thursday or whatever day you're listening to this, and get outside. The weather's getting good. It's a good time to spend a day in the park. That's all I got to say.
Until next week, peace.